Hello, if you want to watch exclusive lemon content on What If Naruto, then go to my Boosty. The first link in the description here contains such hot stories for adults, such as What If Naruto was a daddy for Sarada, or Kushina and Mikoto vulgar Naruto mommies. Follow the link and enjoy. I'm waiting for you.
It all started when Naruto left the village to explore the land of lightning. The war descended like rain. There were rumors that members of the Atsutsuki clan were attacking, but no one expected that the information was actually false. After learning about this, Naruto rushed back in to the village, fearing that something had happened, and as he thought the worst had happened, looking at the destruction in front of him. While the members of the Atsutsuki clan continued to kill people, he was overcome with anger as his eyes. They became dark gold with 3 black tame. Naruto himself didn't notice this, as all of his power was activated, killing all of the Atsutsuki members in the village. Calming down, he thought to himself, Hinato, Boruto and Himawari, all from the village, don't worry. I will avenge you. When his eyes became bright to know. Golden with a black circle, strange shapes inside it. Months passed, while Naruto was training his now awakened powers of vision, he decided to call the first phase Shimmingen, and the second phase Jikugen. There is also a third phase, but the power of the third phase was not detected by him, so he could not without naming it. The first phase allows him to teleport freely. Of course, there is a difference. It will be 1 Tiema or 3 Tiema. Until now, he had thought of it as a golden Sharingan. The days turned into months, and the months turned into. In the years since Naruto trained without a break, he didn't know how strong he was. But he knew that it was enough to destroy this hated clan. And he made it a partner, ready for our last fight. Naruto asked Kurama, who only smiled, and answered, Taich, let's completely destroy these bastards. A dark yellow chakra mode emitting orange flames began to cover Naruto when he had a black staff in his hands. 9 balls of the search for truth floated behind him, then he disappeared from the place, appearing on a strange planet. This planet is where the Atsutsuki clan lives. They almost all gathered to discuss how to deal with the man who killed all his members. In the world where their previous princess, Kagaya Atsutsuki, lived, several white-skinned people appeared in front of him. People. However, nothing could stop Naruto. The balls of the search for truth began to merge and increase in size at a fast pace, while Naruto himself killed all the members of the Atsutsuki clan who came into his field of vision. Finally, a huge sphere of black color was over Naruto. Then he started inserting his chakra and twisting. The truth-seeking planetary Roshinshuriken screamed to Naruto as a huge rotating black sphere with sharp blades fell on the planet. An earth-shaking explosion sounded in his ears. When the planet turned into nothing, feeling that his body would break at any moment, he resisted more and returned to the destroyed Konoha. Kurama, it seems you're going to need a new partner. I'm sure there are still members of the Atsutsuki clan scattered across the planets, but I've already sent a letter to Sasuke, he'll handle it. Kurama, hold on. Unknown to him, his eyes began to rotate rapidly as he formed a circle with strange shapes inside. Finally, Naruto closed his eyes and thought, that's it, I'm like this. Although I have suffered a huge sin after killing all these Atsutsuki clan members, I hope that we will meet in the afterlife. For Kagi silently looked at his body lying in the ground, while tears flowed. At the same time Gaara thought, you made me understand what love means, what friendship means. Please rest, my friend, Kanahagakure. Academy of Genins. Contrary to his own thoughts, Naruto opened his eyes when someone hit him on the head and shouted, Naruto, are you sleeping in class again? Is this a dream? I wasn't placed in the infinite Tsukuyomi, right? Wait, that's not it, me. I'm back in the past. Naruto thought while looking at Iruka, Hinata, and the rest of the class. Maybe that's what the third phase of my Daju did. Irosinen, Iruka, Hinata, I promise everyone will be safe this time. He silently swore and left the classroom. All right, Iruka-sensei, Naruto replied, and left the classroom with Shikamaru, who was also sleeping in the classroom. Ruka followed them outside as he said, "Shikamaru, I've already said dozens of times, stop sleeping in class. If it wasn't because you had good results, you would have already been kicked out of the academy. And you, Naruto, the academy exam is in a few days. With the academy's worst score, you still dare to sleep in class. You see Sasuke, he has the best results in the academy, but he doesn't sleep in class. Yes, and Sensei's hand. I promise I won't do it again. Just wait, I'll get better results. And I will fulfill my dream of becoming a Hokage, don't worry." Naruto replied with determination in his eyes, earning a strange look from both of them and Rukov. And Shikamaru, but he thought, besides, I need to change my hairstyle. Now that I think about it, it's very strange. Goal 1. To check if Kurama came with me. Goal 2. Become cool to make Hinata proud. Goal 3. Become stronger. But so far everything is fine. Naruto, it's good that you finally want to change. Now you can go home, even though Naruto led. Feeling a little strange, and the hand nodded and felt very happy for him. And now, partner, let's see if you went with me, Naruto thought, entering a familiar place. The place Naruto entered was very familiar, but it still seemed strange. There was a huge closed gate in front of him, and a huge fox with 9 tails appeared in his field of vision, sleeping. This was familiar, because it was his only company in those years that he spent training to avenge all his relatives and children. Villages. This place seemed strange to him, because there had never been this gate before after he became a partner with Kurama. Naruto sighed, knowing that, unfortunately, his partner did not move with him. At this time, Kyuubi's eyes opened, and he said, "Brat, how did you get here? Explain yourself." Feeling a little flustered, he forced himself to calm down and replied, "I don't know, you see, everyone says I'm a demon, and they always treat me badly, so I thought it was something inside of me. I was born exactly on the day when you, Kyuubi, attacked the village, and from that moment they called me a demon. I just needed to tie up the threads, and then I came here." Kyuubi looked at the tiny man in front of him in surprise. He seemed very familiar to him, but this was the first time they had talked. However, he asked him, in an astonished tone, "Brat, aren't you afraid of me? Don't you hate me, the so-called demon, that other people treat you like this?" When Naruto looked at his companion, he replied with an innocent smile on his face, "I'm not afraid of you, and no, I don't hate you. Like me, you are a living being, and I know that there was a masked man controlling you on the day you attacked the village." Stop talking, just go away, Kyuubi snorted, sending Naruto away. Who was still smiling because his partner always behaved like that. "Such a tsundere, I've known you for a very long time. Do you really think I don't notice when my own partner is happy? I'm glad to see you again, Kurama." His first goal was completed, and although Kurama was not carried over with him, he felt that his tsundere partner had already begun to trust him a little. The fact that his chakra flowed perfectly is proof that Kurama stopped messing with his chakra, so he clearly began to trust Naruto a little. Now the second goal is the hairstyle, he thought, when a shadow clone appeared in front of him. The clone used the wind style to create a sharp, small blade at his finger, and began cutting the hair on the main body. Naruto was quite experienced in creating hairstyles. The memories of the countless nights he spent practicing to make a beautiful hairstyle for Himawari still make him shiver a little. Soon, his former spiky hair was trimmed, nodding to himself. And feeling satisfied with his skills, Naruto looked at himself in the mirror. Except that his height is slightly lower due to lack of nutrition, his new appearance is comparable to Sasuke. In addition, his eyes, which used to be light blue, they seemed brighter. He was sure that if his height increased to the same as Sasuke's, His appearance would be a little better than that of his rival. The second goal has been achieved. Okay, now I need to think about the training regime. My current physical condition of the body. It's actually pretty lame, but since I have Kurama's healing ability, combined with my stamina, breaking my limits countless times like the thick-browed Shinsei, and the thick-browed one isn't a problem either. My current body should be able to lift 100 kg in both arms and both legs, for a total of 400 kg. Considering that my talent in both ninjutsu and taijutsu is incredibly high, it's not. It will take a long time before I catch up with Sasuke. Naruto thought, creating a training regime for himself. It's not difficult. He will kick and kick, squat, push-ups and run. He will do this every day until exhaustion and even more. Also, clearing my chakra is mandatory, not to mention practicing. Is this reality the same as my previous one? According to my assumption, the last phase makes it possible to travel through different realities, time frames, and dimensions. First, let's try activating Sharingan. He directed his chakra to his eyes, but nothing happened, probably because, although he activated it in the future, it is not activated here yet. But the decision was quickly made, because Naruto began to think about the massacre that happened to the village, about his loved ones who died in peace. Suddenly, he felt a pain in his eyes, as the previous light blue eyes turned into bright, glowing golden eyes. A black curve continuously rotating in the center of his eyes. At that time, someone knocked on his door and said, "Naruto Uzumaki, Mr. Hokage, is calling you to his office." He was happy that he would be able to see Grandpa again, but he was a little sad, thinking that he spent his entire childhood being called a demon and living in bad conditions. Because Hiruzen didn't say anything to help him, so. Either way, Naruto soon got up as he quickly strode into Hokage's office. Without waiting for Naruto, the person who knocked on his door disappeared, leaving him alone. Although the man left quickly, the voice still sounded in his ears. It was his future sensei, Hitaki. Kakashi, not wanting to waste his precious time as he needed to train, Naruto quickly ran to Hokage's office. His house wasn't too far away from him, so he arrived at the office in 10 minutes. In fact, his body was pretty in good shape. The condition is even better than Sasuke's, although it is incomparable with Rock Lee, who at that time should have been able to carry 350 kg in both arms and both legs. And just before the start of the Chunin exam, Rock Lee was able to carry 1000 kg. Arriving at Hokage's office, Naruto calmed down his emotions and entered the room saying, "Hey, Grandpa, why did you call me?" Hiruzen looked at Naruto because this restless brat looked a little different than usual, probably a boy. He had matured quite a bit, besides, his appearance was completely different. His hair was no longer dirty and sticking out in everything. Now they were lying neatly on his head. But even though he was surprised, Hiruzen did not ask about it, but began to say, "Well, Naruto, I heard it's hands that you slept in class again, even though your results are the worst. Didn't you say that you want to become a Hokage? How can you become a Hokage if you keep sleeping in class?" He asked him, "Don't worry, Grandpa, I've already started very hard to train, so I will easily pass the exam. I also want to ask you something. I didn't actually sleep in class that day." Listening to the hand of Shinsei give his lectures, my vision became very blurry, and I found myself inside a strange place. The only place I saw was a huge fox that had exactly 9 tails. The fox was actually very nice and talked to me, even helped me with chakra control. Naruto said, smiling, but his inner thoughts were, "Grandpa, even if you're really an old fox, you won't be able to compare to me, hehe. Not only am I playing innocent, but it will also make you tell me that I am a Jinchuriki." Naruto's personality has probably changed a lot after so many years without the company of any people. There was only Kurama with him, who trained with him, so his already shameless but innocent personality got divorced even more. Cherisen was shocked for a brief moment before his face calmed down, and here he was extremely serious when he sighed and started to speak sigh. This moment was bound to come sooner or later. Naruto, the huge fox you saw is called Kyuubi or Nine-Tailed. This fox was under the control of Uchiha and attacked the village. But in the end, the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze, sealed the Kyuubi inside you, making you a Jinchuriki. He then paused for a moment before continuing. Jinchuriki are those who hold back the tailed beast. Most of them are used as simple tools. That's why I never told you about it. You are a very important person to me, and I don't want you to be treated even worse than the villagers are already treating you. This is my chance, take a bite of it, Grandpa. Hiruzen looked at Naruto and saw that he was loading a little. But then the yellow-haired boy's face lit up as he said, Grandpa, if I'm a Jinchuriki, it means that I'm really very important to the village, right? It also means that my monthly allowance has to be increased. You know, I only get 500 rubles a month, taking into account all these years, but also the fact that you have been very kind to me. I only want 10,500 cut monthly, deal. Cherisen almost fainted, since when has Naruto been able to negotiate? Don't tell me that a meteorite will suddenly fall on Konoha, it's impossible. Really? Anyway, he stared at the boy and started thinking about everything he went through just because, as the third Hokage, he was selfish and didn't give enough protection to the boy he thinks. A grandson without a problem. Naruto, you will also get a new house next to this office. I'm going to talk to a Junin named Imada. He will be able to help you control the Kyuubi until Jiraiya, one of the three Sanins, returns. In the meantime, you can go back to your old house. Your new one will be assigned to you tomorrow. Don't forget that the final exam of the academy will begin in a week. Be sure to train. For some reason, when he heard about controlling the Kyuubi, Naruto was a little outraged. Kurama has been his partner for more than 3 decades. Grandpa, Kyuubi is a living being like me and you. I will not control Kyuubi. He and I will be partners who can rely on each other. Please don't say such things again. After saying that, Naruto ran to his house without looking at Hiruzen a second time. Maybe she won't need motto. Naruto, you've grown so much that I didn't notice it, thought Hiruzen, and a happy smile appeared on his face. He immediately discarded the idea of Imato helping Naruto. His intuition told him that Naruto wouldn't need a wood release user. Techniques of the Great Forest. Even though Kurama was sealed inside Naruto, he was still able to hear what the boy said. He felt very good, for some reason, and thought, this is a small outgrowth. It's different from the other Jinchuriki I've had before. None of them told me that I wasn't a demon, and they didn't even try to understand that we tailed beasts were also living beings. Even my father's descendants used me as a tool. Maybe giving this brat a little bit of my chakra is not such a bad idea. I even feel that he looks like his father. But for some reason, it seems to me as if I've known him for many decades. How strange, when Kurama says the father, he refers to Hagurum, who created them. In the forest, you could see a boy with yellow hair, who constantly transformed into different people, and a hand. Hiruzen, Sasuke, and so on. Then a poof sounded in Naruto's ears as he said the shadow cloning technique, and 5 identical clones appeared surrounding him. Then, they all started practicing the Fuinjutsu technique. This was the only thing he never practiced in the future, because Naruto didn't try to seal the Atsutsuki clan. His goal was to kill them, and for that he practiced a lot. different areas such as Shuriken Jutsu, Kinjutsu, Ninjutsu, Taijutsu, and so on. After an hour of Fuinjutsu practice, the shadow clones dispersed, returning their knowledge and techniques directly to his mind. Naruto then straightened up as he could feel his body being pulled down, clenching his teeth. He started hitting wood for an unknown amount of time, and soon his body was completely sweaty, and his hands were bleeding. Without stopping, the bones of the hands were covered with small cracks, but Kurama reluctantly healed. It was something that even a crazy dude like the thick-browed Shinsei and Rock Lee couldn't do because they don't have such a monstrous regeneration. This was something Naruto did unconsciously. It was the same training that he went through in the future. Then he repeated the same thing with legs, squats, push-ups, and finally running. While Naruto was training like crazy, his shadow clones easily completed Fuinjutsu training and began to perfect the chakra. This went on for a week. And when the day of the final exam finally came, Naruto could handle 350 kg of weight in both arms and both legs. Not only that, his own chakra pool had increased many times over. But Naruto had to pretend that he was unable to notice that a male boy in green clothes had been watching him behind the tree. For the whole week. The man turned to the boy next to him. "Lee, do you see this boy? He, Naruto Uzumaki, just seeing how he trains, I can say that his talent is simply too high, unprecedented. Even though he is a genius, you see his hands. They don't bleed because of his regeneration, but every time he finishes his daily workout, both arms and legs are bleeding and broken. Is that it? This is the power of youth. Yes, Gai-sensei, I am. I feel that his power of youth is enormous, Mr. Gai-sensei." Having said this, both the boy and the man began to cry, and a pool of tears formed under them. Kanaha, Genin Academy. Naruto entered the room, and many people looked at him, wondering who this boy was. However, there were 3 people who were able to identify him right away: Shikamaru, Sasuke, and Hinata, who seemed very happy that after the academy gave them 1 week's time to prepare. By the final exam, she was able to meet Naruto-kun again. Iruka-sensei also entered the room and shouted, "I will call you one person at a time. To check if you have the qualifications to become a genin, Sakura Haruno will be the first then." The girl with pink hair went into another room and came back pretty quickly, beaming with pride. This happened until Naruto's time finally came. He then entered the room where Iruka Shinsei was sitting next to Mizuki. Finally, Mizuki said, "Naruto, show us your transformation and cloning technique, and if you do this, you will pass the final exam and officially become a genin." But he thought to himself, as if this demonic fox would even be able to make a clone have after I give up 4. A forbidden scroll to Lord Arakamer, he will reward me. Ha ha ha. Naruto spoke in a low voice as he executed the seals with his hands at an amazing speed. Cloning technique, and 1 clone appeared. Then, after Iruka nodded, Naruto did a few more. And the seals with his hands, and his height, which was about 1.60 m, became 1.75 m. And his appearance became exactly the same as that of Irek. Iruka seemed to be really happy, as tears of joy threatened to flow from his eyes. "Naruto, you succeeded. Become a ninja, congratulations. Here's your blindfold." Although Iruka calmed down and said in a calm tone, Naruto knew that he was very happy and would probably reward him with ramen. He hasn't eaten Vikaraka for a long time. Now that he thought about it, the body possessed ramen and chiraku were never found. From Naruto's point of view, this ordinary person seemed to be very mysterious. Hell, an ordinary person couldn't make ramen so delicious, despite the fact that Naruto's final exam results were the best. His overall score was the lowest. Fortunately, his team probably won't change. Speaking of his dojutsu, Naruto finally thought of something. "My hair is yellow. This means that my Namikaze bloodline dominates the Uzumaki bloodline, but there has never been a case in history when Uzumaki had a Dojutsu, so it probably came from my Namikaze bloodline. The question is that there was no information about this clan in the future. Even my father's parents didn't hear anything. Very mysterious. Returning home, Naruto jumped on the bed and sprawled on it, and soon fell asleep. His future adult body could withstand strenuous training for many years without collapsing because of it. But now, being only a child, his body's exhaustion was quite high. Although Naruto had only been training for a week, anyway, after putting on the newly received headband, he looked at himself in the mirror. His hair now looked a bit like Kakashi's hairstyle, and he decided that it needed to be fixed. After he woke up, Naruto looked in the mirror. With a bandage on his head, his hair was inside and hung down a little on the left side. This made his hair look a bit like Kakashi's hairstyle. However, Naruto liked his current hairstyle because after the day when Konoha was destroyed, he grew his hair and was already used to it. Hey N, look at the cover for reference. After straightening his hair a little, taking another look in the mirror, and nodding to himself, Naruto looked out of his house, which he had previously cleaned. He looked up at the beautiful night sky with its myriad stars. He woke up in the middle of the night, maybe because after many years, his mind was tired. Sound, asterisk, knock knock, asterisk. Someone knocked on his door. About to open it, he was surprised, because the one who appeared in his field of vision was a white-haired man. But other than that, he looked quite simple and ordinary. Mizuki is one of the Shinsei in the academy, and also a traitor. Naruto, I need to tell you something. First of all, I congratulate you on passing the final exam and becoming a genin. Secondly, you dream of becoming a Hokage, right? I'll tell you a secret. If you get the seal that is hidden in the Hokage residence, your chances of becoming a Hokage will increase many times. You just need to get it. Become her and give her to me, Mizuki said with a very honest and kind smile. But his inner thoughts were how this demonic brat managed to change so much in just one night. Naruto grinned and just asked, if that's the case, why don't you do it yourself? You think I'm a stupid demonic fox, don't you? But you're out of luck. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, and I'll beat the shit out of you. You bastard, how dare you talk to me like that when you're just a little demon? The expression on Zuka's faces immediately changed to an angry one. He jumped back, grabbed a large shuriken, and threw it towards Naruto. Die, demonic fox. Not today, you fucking traitor. Naruto hated traitors the most because the Atsutsuki clan wouldn't have attacked the village if there wasn't a traitor who informed them that he was gone. Dodging the shuriken and grabbing it while it was still in the air, he threw it back with great speed. Arc! Mizuki screamed in pain as he didn't expect Naruto to be able to do it. Shuriken. He stabbed into his arm, making a big wound. Pulling out a shuriken from his hand, he roared the elements of the earth bullets. Naruto's lips were slightly raised in a grin as he looked at this jutsu that Mizuki was using, and without even trying to dodge, he said in a low voice of the earth element. Stone shelter. Suddenly the earth gathered around him, and a kind of barrier was created, blocking all stone bullets without any problems. Then he shouted, "You tried to kill me with a shuriken, right? I'll give it back to you, but 1,000 times more, bastard." Kagebunshin Nujutsu. 100 clones appeared, and they all looked at Mizuki with a mocking look. The latter panicked from the huge number of clones and shouted, "No, don't come near me, please. He ordered me to lever all this. Please, I'll tell you everything, just don't get too close." Naruto snorted at this traitor, but just kept looking at him and decided not to kill Mizuki. Since many shinobi were already rushing here because of the commotion caused by their fight, he scattered his own clones, and soon 10 masked men with different types of masks and Hiruzen arrived. Hiruzen looked at him and asked, Naruto, what happened here, and why did you fight against Mizuki? You should know that he is your previous sensei, as well as Chunin from our village. Grandpa, he came here and told me that if I steal the scroll that is in the Hokage residence, my chances of becoming a Hokage will increase. He probably thought I was stupid not to guess his plans. He even said it was an order from someone named Arichuma. After I was about to beat the shit out of him, he honestly told Hiruzen, although his grandfather sometimes manipulates him and hides many things, for example about his parents, but these are not such serious offenses. Hiruzen looked shocked and thought, Arakumaru, what are you up to? But quickly told him, Naruto, you probably don't guess who Arakumaru is, but I know him. And he is very dangerous, and he needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Don't answer if someone asks you what happened here, you know. He just nodded, and after that, they all disappeared from his room with a whoosh, and a stream of air blew over his face. Tomorrow Naruto will meet with his new team. He didn't think his team would change, because after they became a team, a lot of things happened. And as a result of all this, he got the power of the eyes, especially Jikugan. Naruto understood that changing the past is not something that can be easily done. Of course, if it had been before, he wouldn't have been able to change anything at all, but the current one was sent back with his soul. His soul has merged with the soul of Naruto's past, so he has the opportunity to change some things. While Naruto was sure that he and Sasuke would be on the same team, but that didn't mean Sakura would also be with them on the 7th team. One way or another, he was back. He went to his room and lay down on the bed. Slowly his eyes became heavier and heavier, and soon they closed. The night passed quickly, and soon morning came, waking Naruto, who muttered Himawari. 5 more minutes, please. But then he woke up, remembering that he was in the past. Indeed, it was possible to become more mature and intelligent, but Naruto can be both, plus stupid. Some things never change. Today was the day when Iruka would divide them into teams and assign Junin to them. Naruto wasn't particularly worried, as he was sure that he would be on Sasuke's 7th team, and probably Sakura. Anyway, after showering, brushing his teeth and changing clothes, his clothing style also changed yesterday, after he asked his grandfather to help with it. It was the same as his usual clothes in the past, but without the Hokage raincoat, an orange shirt with black lines at the bottom, and black pants. It looked very good on him. After breakfast, Naruto left the house and headed towards the academy, entering the classroom. The first person who came into his field of vision was Sakura, as she was literally in front of him. She looked back, recognized him and shouted, Naruto, what are you doing here? Did you pass the exam? He felt that Sakura was very annoying today, but she is his teammate, so it didn't bother him much. The information that he passed was on the list of graduates, but for some reason she asked him about it. Ignoring her, Naruto just went and sat in the front of the room, leaving a shocked Sakura who thought I was just ignored. And who? Naruto? Damn, I've lost my charm. To think that even Naruto ignored me, whose? She was so absorbed in her thoughts that Sakura didn't even notice the changes in Naruto, but Sasuke noticed and told him, hey loser. What happened that you changed your hairstyle and clothes? Since when do I have to tell you about myself? Maybe you're too lonely, duckling. Naruto made a mocking smile towards Sasuke, who was angry, but his cold face was still there, without any changes. Sakura, however, was very angry at this comment and shouted, Naruto, you bastard, how dare you talk to Sasuke like that? When she raised her fist and was about to hit Naruto, he just dodged and caught her fist. I mean, he's going to be a bastard to them for some time to come. In the following chapters, his actions will be explained, or rather, in chapter 26. I can see that you're annoying as always, Sakura. It seems that before Naruto could finish the sentence, Iruka opened the door and started talking to the class. Everyone to your places. As you already know, today I will announce your teams. Each team will have Junin as your instructor. He paused for a moment and continued. Team 10. Asuma Sarutobi as the leader of Inemanaka, Chiya Akimichi, Shikamaru Nara. Team 8. Karina and Jui as the leader of Hinata Hyuga, Kiba and Nuzuka, Sina Aburami. Team 7. Kakashi Hata. Attacks in the role of leader, Naruto Uzumaki, Sasuke Uchiha, Sakura Haruna. Now these will be your commands. You will meet with your leaders in rooms 1, 2 and 3 respectively. Be proud of your status as a genin from Kanahagakure and bring peace to the village. I must say, Ruka-sensei is a very good teacher. All of them, except Shikamaru and Sasuke, were a little touched by his last words. And then, these two were not touched by his words only because one thought it was a pain in the ass, and the other because he was thinking about his place all the time. Entering the third room, Sakura looked at Naruto with an angry look before she finally noticed that the previous boy, whom she despised, looked no worse than her beloved Sasuke-kun, even a little better. Anyway, she quickly waved it off. That's why I screamed at Naruto. You called me annoying. Don't you think you should apologize, Naruto? But he just grinned and replied, That's right, Sakura. Why don't you apologize for all those times when you beat me just because I praised you? When she heard this, she fell silent and began to think. At this time, Naruto continued to speak. To be honest, the most important thing in a team is not just brute force, it's teamwork, in my opinion. Of course, we don't know each other well, so it's not possible yet. And I won't put up with things like imitating teamwork to make a good impression on Kakashi-sensei. If we did that, our teamwork would still be garbage. My suggestion is that we need to know better. Get to know each other, get to know each other's weakness, and so on. This surprised them very much. Basically Sasuke, he never thought that the biggest loser in the class and the lowest rank would come up with a good idea. But nevertheless, he said in a cold voice, I am Sasuke Uchiha, the last survivor of my clan. I am strong in ninjutsu, but my taijutsu is a little lame. Then it was time to introduce myself to Sakura. I'm Sakura Haruna from an ordinary family, me. I'm not good at anything except making traps and being smart. Sakura looked rather sad, as she had just realized that her strength was very weak compared to her team members. Unbeknownst to them, Naruto put a seal to block the first part of what he would say because someone was standing outside and overheard. And if someone hears him telling Sakura and Sasuke what he knows about his clan, it will be pretty bad. Finally, it's time to introduce Naruto. I am Naruto Uzumaki, and besides me, there are only 2 known survivors from my clan. I'm an orphan. I'm good at ninjutsu, taijutsu, and genjutsu. Although in genjutsu, I am a little weaker compared to my ninjutsu and taijutsu. Of course, in addition to this, he has kinjutsu, shurikenjutsu, shinjutsu, and much more. But it's not a good idea to disclose it. Not to mention when someone is around. Obviously, it was a certain gray-haired man in a mask and a blindfold over his left eye, reading a book, and listening to what these children were talking about. Then he walked into the room, nodding to Naruto. His idea of getting to know each other and better was really worthwhile. The 3 of them saw a white-haired man with an indifferent expression enter the room. After looking at them, he began to say, My first impression of you guys is that you are a bunch of organized idiots. Okay, now let's go to another place, follow me. They agreed and followed Kakashi. Soon they arrived at the top of the academy. Then their sensei said again, Tell us about yourself. Dreams, likes, and dislikes. As our teacher, you must first tell us about yourself correctly, Sakura said. Okay, I'm Kakashi Hatake, and my dreams are like that, but I don't want to tell you about it. My likes and dislikes. I don't want to talk about it either. And now first tell me about yourself, Kakashi replied, and pointed to Sakura. I'm Sakura Haruna. Well, my dream. Hi, I like it. Ha ha ha, I don't like Naruto, she said, and Kakashi looked at her like she was a complete idiot, not that he was wrong. But then he pointed at Naruto, who replied with a bright smile, Naruto Uzumaki. My dream is to become the greatest Hokage and protect the village from any enemy. My likes are Hinata and ramen. I don't have any specific antipathies. Sakura looked at Naruto in surprise. Wasn't that boy always bothering her? To think that he loved Hinata all this time. Kakashi also thought to himself, although I saw him when he was a child, the reports about him were different. How did he change so much? Now it's Sasuke's turn, Sasuke Uchiha. I have no specific likes and dislikes. My dream is to kill a certain person and rebuild my clan. The mood seemed to get heavier, but then Kakashi said, but that's all for today. Tomorrow we will meet at the 3rd training field. Don't eat anything or you'll puke. And then he disappeared. Naruto didn't want to talk to these two idiots. One of them is currently an Ima, and the other is just too stupid. It's better to train, and he has an important ass, which needs to be done to show the future and all Kurum's memories to his past self. Of course, it is impossible to tell another person about this, since it can change the future too much. But telling this to your tailed beast is not a problem. Slightly change the future. For example, saving a village in the future is also not a problem. The problem will be when someone other than him finds out about it. Once again entering his inner space, where Kurama is sealed, Naruto shouted, Hey Kyuubi. Wake up, I have something important to tell you. What's the matter, Brad? Can't you see that I was sleeping peacefully? A fox's dream is sacred. Naruto almost sprayed blood. Hearing this, anyway, he replied, I'll be honest and tell you something. I'm from the future. You don't believe me. I can show you, but you'll need to enter Genjutsu, of course, only low level. So you won't have to worry about being controlled or anything. Kurama looked at the brat and tried to see if there were any evil guidance. Surprisingly, there were none. His heartbeat and other signals of his body language also said that he wasn't lying, so he agreed, and was caught in a low-level genjutsu. He was in his own body. Time passed quickly, showing him a lot. The events of a battle against a lot of people. The way he partnered with the brat to fight against Obita, Madara, then Sasuke, Toneri, Momoshiki, and finally, against the huge number of Otsutsuki members who destroyed the village, he could feel the anger that his future self and his partner felt for many years of training, and finally, they destroyed the entire Otsutsuki clan. It was then that memories from his future self began to appear in his head. No, it was like a memory awakening, as if it was easy for him. I just needed an impulse to wake up. Unconsciously, a tear fell from his eyes when he said, Partner, I'm back. Fortunately, Naruto and Kurama are not like Guy or, otherwise a puddle of tears would form under them. He knows that emotion control is necessary. Next to his classmates, that's why they don't know what happened when he saw Hinata again. He had the urge to cry and hug her, but he needed to control his emotions, however with his partner. He could finally let his emotions out of control. Note, I know this is a very awkward paragraph, but I think it's necessary to explain why he didn't have an emotional breakdown after meeting with classmates, as well as for character development. It took some time until their emotions calmed down, and Naruto walked up to the seal and was about to take it off when someone grabbed his hand. Naruto, don't remove the seal, the voice said. Turning his head to the side, he saw a man with hair and eyes similar to his, yellow hair and bright blue eyes. This is his father, Minato Namikaze. I didn't think it would happen so soon, and I didn't want to see you again, Kyuubi. Naruto, why did you want to break the seal? He asked. Dad, Kurama is my partner, so of course he doesn't need to be restrained. Inside the stupid seal, I know you did it to protect me and the village, but now he's my partner, Naruto replied. And was about to continue, but he was interrupted by Minato. So Hiruzen said that I am your father. No. Then how did you know? Anyway, Kyuubi is dangerous, you can't trust him, Naruto. He said the first sentence, and when Naruto shook his head, he continued, Dad, just trust me, okay? After all, I'm your son. Also, please call Mom here. Printing will no longer be needed. Minato reluctantly, but looking at Kurama, he saw that there was neither hatred nor anger in his eyes, nodding to his son. And then awakened his soul to eat. Minato, why are you here? Wait, why the hell are you gonna breathe me? When the time comes. Kushina was confused at first, but then her hair began to float in the air, creating an extremely dangerous aura. Kushina, don't worry, it was our son who made me wake you up. He also became Kurama's partner, they are better now. Best friends, let him talk, okay, he said, trembling. Naruto understood him. Hinata was very scary when she activated her Bikugan. Even Boruto, who usually made trouble, immediately stopped when he saw her in this state. Mom, Dad, what you left here is the remnants of your soul, right? It also makes it impossible to use Ed Tensei's Arakimaru on both of you. Anyway, I have a way to revive the two of you without Ed Tensei. I can literally revive you. You see, for some reason, I have awakened a special power that can do this. Also meet Kurama, this is Kyuubi's real name, Naruto told them. Kushina didn't let Minato say a word when she started throwing questions at Naruto. No problem, you can do it, but tell me, you have friends, you eat well, and most importantly, you have a girlfriend. Although Naruto was from the future, he couldn't help but blush a little after being asked about his girlfriend by his mom. But he answered anyway. Yes, I have friends, I am very healthy, and yes, I have a girlfriend, her name is Hinata Hyuga. Even though he said it, his inner thoughts were, it's almost true. She really is, but not right now, since I haven't asked her yet, hehe. Kushina nodded happily. After hearing the last part, Minato was still thinking about his son's special power. This can't be happening. What my father said is true. But then Naruto said, Dad, Mom, I will seal your souls with a special fuinjutsu that created, of course, it's a little special. Naruto didn't want to say any more because he knew that the remaining souls had almost exhausted their power. Then he said in a low voice, Secret Fuinjutsu. The 8-3 gram spiritual seal of his parents' soul, which was disappearing, began to be sucked into the spiritual scroll that was fused inside his own chuck pool. Then Naruto removed the seal from his partner, and a huge amount of chakra flowed through his body. And temporarily a bright yellow chakra mode with a fiery aura appeared on his body before disappearing again, and after a brief conversation with Kurama, he left his inner space. It turned out that quite a lot of time had passed. After all, Genjutsu passed quickly, but not in the blink of an eye. And it was already 5 in the morning. He thought that his two teammates probably hadn't eaten, and most likely wouldn't even bring food with them. So he decided to bring something to eat for them. When Naruto arrived at the third training field, it was already 6 a.m. Sasuke and Sakura. They were already in his field of vision. Sakura looked sleepy, and Sasuke, as always, was cold. Ah, Naruto, why did you bring food? Kakashi-sensei sternly said that the food would make us sick. Sakura screamed. Well, he said we can't eat at home. He didn't say we couldn't bring food and eat here. We're on the training field, so it's probably going to be a fight, and fighting with an empty stomach is something only stupid people do. Here's a hold for you and one for Sasuke, he replied, and after Sakura conceived, for a moment. She realized that it was really so. Then she took the food offered and began to eat. Sasuke just snorted and turned away, but a rumbling sound was heard from his stomach. Reluctantly, Sasuke accepted food from Naruto and also began to eat, and since Kakashi always had, he was late. Because he always honored Obito at this time. So they had enough time to eat and digest the food, replenishing the energy. Finally, Kakashi-sensei arrived, and Sakura screamed that he was late, and he only replied that it was because of what? The black cat, and then the old woman, before saying, "Well, now we will begin the real test. This will be a test of survival. See these two bells here. If you want to become genins, you need to steal them from me, and now attack me with the intention of killing me." They understood him, and Naruto used the disappearing technique and disappeared from the spot. Having moved to a tree, Sasuke and Sakura were behind a bush, waiting for an opportunity to attack their sensei, who was just reading a book with a carefree expression on his face. Naruto looked at Sasuke, and he looked back. They understood each other when they threw the shurikens towards Kakashi. And when the shurikens approached Kakashi, their direction suddenly changed, but, unfortunately, if Sensei was ready for this, and blocked them with his shurikens, realizing that they had been provided for. The previous place was revealed, they decided to move to another one. It was at this time that Kakashi suddenly disappeared from his seat. Appearing behind Sakura, he said, "Hey, Sakura." She screamed and got caught in his genjutsu. It scared me like Naruto. Like Sasuke, who ran to where the scream came from. Rushing to where Sakura was, they saw that she was very scared, but when she saw Sasuke, she screamed, "Sasuke, are you okay?" Naruto replied coldly when Sasuke just snorted at her. It was Sakura genjutsu. It's so disappointing that someone as smart as you can be so stupid. Although she was an extremely strong ninja medic in the future, even better than Tsunade, Naruto always felt that in the past. And at the moment in the present, she was annoying. This is what he came to after thinking for many years alone with Kurama. She finally reacted and calmed down, but was annoyed that her sensei did it. Kier, how did he dare to harm Sasuke, even if it was only genjutsu, just wait. Naruto knew exactly what she was thinking. Although her expression was impassive, it was a cursing impassive expression. In any case, he suggested plans, realizing that it would work. Sasuke and Sakura agreed. Sakura ran out of the bushes and shouted to Kakashi, "Kakashi-sensei, I will avenge what you did to me." The latter felt insulted because of this phrase, as it was similar to what was written in his training book. "Hell no, I won't take responsibility for something I've never done." Kakashi was distracted for a moment, and Sakura took the opportunity to hit the ground next to him so hard that it cracked, forcing him to lose his balance while he was falling to the ground. Sasuke and Naruto started running towards his position. Kakashi saw Sasuke making hand seals of the big fireball technique. Without hesitation, he removed his left eye patch, opening it, hiding Sharingan, and his own hands began to make seals, and he did the same jutsu as Sasuke element of fire, the technique of the great fireball. They screamed at the same time as two huge balls of fire burst out of their mouths and after the collision, exploded, and when the smoke was in the air, taking advantage of the opportunity that Kakashi could not see him, Naruto's eyes began to rotate, and soon they became golden with black tame. Then he said to himself, Sharingan is a space shrinking technique, and for less than in 0.1 seconds, he appeared next to his sensei and grabbed the bells. Then he threw one to Sasuke and said, "Kakashi-sensei, it seems we have won." The latter smiled helplessly. He never thought that his students would develop such a character. A good plan. However, it wouldn't have worked if Kakashi had blocked the attack with fire, getting hurt in the process. It was as if they knew about his Sharingan, and that he would decide to use it so as not to get hurt. Well, congratulations, however, only you have a bell in Sasuke, but what about Sakura? While saying this, Kakashi smiled playfully. If they decide to abandon her, they will fail, but if not, they will pass. Naruto looked at Sasuke, who also looked at him. Both of them nodded and said Kakashi at the same time, then we didn't either. Ninja, what's the point of becoming a ninja if we leave a friend? Sakura was very touched by what they said, while Kakashi looked at them in surprise before a small smile appeared on his face. Congratulations, you three have passed. Now, Sakura, tell me what is the most important thing in the team. Sakura immediately replied, of course, it's a team effort. Although Kakashi already knew that they knew about it, he still nodded, satisfied with her answer. Tomorrow we will choose your first mission. Missions are divided into ratings of D rank, C rank, B rank, A rank and S rank from worst to best. Usually Genins can only choose a D rank mission, and very rarely. C rank, Chunins usually choose C rank missions. And B rank missions, while juniors can choose an A rank mission. S rank missions are assigned only to highly qualified shinobi. Kakashi said that they would choose their first mission, and also explained about the missions not in detail, but it took them down. Doubts about this. A few days passed, and Naruto was training like crazy, that is, as usual. His strength, of course, was growing at an amazing rate. He knew that in the future, his eyes had stopped developing because his potential was almost exhausted. If it wasn't for the extreme anger, sadness, and despair he felt, his eyes wouldn't even have awakened one to May. Naruto decided that telling Hiruzen that he had met his parents was not a good decision. Anyway, he had a very good idea. In the future, he did it once when he was bored. The technique of creation of all things. Why? He wanted Kurama to see the outside world without destroying it with the size of his body. Basically, Naruto used it on Kurama and reduced it to the size of Kurami. Of course, his only regret was that he only mastered this technique after everything had already happened. Nodding to himself, he entered his inner space, which no longer had a seal in fact. There was quite a beautiful landscape here that he created for Kuram. Oh, don't come with that smile again, Naruto, I'm warning you. No. Kurama, a scary nine-tailed fox, tried to escape from Naruto in his inner space. If Hiruzen saw this, he would be so scared that he would cry without tears. Haha, Kurama, now you have nowhere to run, become a little forest with 9 tails, Dadabai. Naruto screamed and thought the creation of all things. Of course, this was the only thing he could do, because although he has a huge amount of chakra, his body, it would have broken if he had done anything more than that. Basically, apart from the fact that he could change the size of the Kurama, he couldn't use it for anything else yet. Naruto watched with a terrible smile as Kurama's huge size shrank to the size of a cat. Then he started stroking Kurama. Bastard, don't stroke me, be careful, I'm dangerous. The man screamed and bit his arm. Damn, I'm going to stop stroking you. Okay, don't bite me, it hurts like hell. Naruto shouted back and thought, what are you? Only because of your pride. Just wait, fucking. Half a month had passed since the survival test, and currently a handsome blonde guy with blue eyes could be seen. His hands and feet were bleeding, but even so he was trained. The training continued after finishing squats, push-ups, kicks, and running. Naruto trained by kicking steel. As his body was constantly improving, the things he could create were also improving to match his level. Now he could create a small plate and began to train with it. In the future, he learned the technique of creating everything just to help his training. If the steel plate could no longer withstand his blows, he made it better than before. His current body was also taller than the previous one. Now he was a little taller than Sasuke. His current height is 5 approx 150 to 0.4 cm. And Sasuke's height is 4.9 approx 150.8 cm. This was the result of his constant training, whether it was his body, chakra, or mind. His previous body was not getting enough nutrition because Naruto's monthly allowance was very meager, being only 500 Ri. His body was in need during the growth period, in much more calories. Because of this, it was lower than it should have been in the future. His own chakra reserves are already at the Kage level. No, he had even more chakras than Hiruzen, but having a large amount of chakra does not mean that he compares in the power of Skaga. Now his strength is at the level of Kakashi in Taijutsu, and if he uses powerful ninjutsu, such as the wind technique, Rasen Shuriken, Kakashi will have a hard time fighting with him. Kakashi called them to Hokage's office to take the cleansing. Although his patience really increased significantly after he became a Hokage, which, by the way, is quite boring. The performance of D-rank missions is many times worse. Although their teamwork improved from terrible to good, which wasn't so bad considering the short period of time. They were in front of Hiruzen, and Naruto decided to ask for a C-rank mission. "Grandpa, I can't take it anymore. You're just giving us these easy missions when we're clearly capable of doing C-rank missions. If you don't give us a more difficult mission, I'll let the whole world know about our little secret," he threatened. Indeed, Naruto is well soaked. ****. Businessman. Note, only gentlemen will know about what this little secret is. ****. Attack with the seduction technique. ****Cough, cough, Sakura and Sasuke didn't take part in the discussion, but they nodded in agreement. Hiruzen saw this, sighed and thought, "It looks like Naruto doesn't want to be treated anymore. Like with a child. I can give the 7th team a C-rank assignment. It will consist in protecting someone." He paused to observe their expressions and continued. "You're going to meet him now. You can enter the room." When Hiruzen said this, an old man with spiky gray hair and a white towel around his neck entered the room. Before introducing himself, he drank something from a bottle and only then said, "I am a Tazuna. My safety will be ensured by these brats. And you expect me to believe that someone with such a huge forehead can protect me?" Naruto and Sasuke felt that something bad was about to happen, so they both wisely stepped back a little. Sakura's eyes flashed, and she screamed, "You dare to talk about my forehead? He's very handsome, you know, handsome," and she started walking towards him with her fist raised, but fortunately Kakashi held her back. Apart from this small incident, then everything went a little more smoothly. Soon Sakura calmed down, and now they were at the entrance to Konoha. The point of view of the demon brothers and the unknown ninja. "We were hired by a rich bastard, Gaara, to kill a man named Tazuna, a bridge builder. Unfortunately, for the guy, this ruined the rich bastard's plans, so he hired a ninja to kill this man. We were informed that this guy, a guy named Tazuna, asked for help from Kanahi to be allocated ninjas for protection. We're not sure if Junin will assign him, but even then, we can probably kill him and escape." A man who was also hired by a rich bastard suddenly appeared next to us and smiling mockingly, he said, "Hey, stupid twins, stop soaring in the clouds, otherwise I will kill you both. We have a mission to complete." I can see from here that he is accompanied by a silver-haired ninja with 3 children. This is probably 1 Junin and 3 Genins. The silver-haired man, from what I know, is a copy ninja Kakashi. It seems like you two are lucky that I'm here, otherwise you guys probably won't survive. Ha ha ha. Mizu was outraged by this guy who made fun of them, but knowing that their strength was really inferior to his, he said. Gaara said that there would probably only be Chunins like us. Damn it, he's trying to make us cannon fodder. Gozu saw that his brother was angry and tried to calm him down. Saying, so what if he's Junin? We killed Junin once, so there's nothing to be afraid of. Even if we fail, we can still escape. His brother calmed down and nodded. The mission went smoothly, even too smoothly. It was abnormal, because despite the fact that it was now, the so-called peacetime is only on the bright side. On the dark side, there are attempts, robbers, and the like. Rich businessman Gata is proof that although there is no war, the world has still paid. A dangerous place is very dangerous. Bored, Naruto asked. So, Tazuna, we need to accompany you, and we know that you are a bridge builder. Then why did you come to Konoha? Tazuna was obviously sweating a little from his question, but after calming down a little, he replied, but I came here mainly to buy materials and send them to my land. The materials had already been sent, but I felt that I needed protection, and my daughter was very worried. So I decided to order a mission. Then Sakura joined their small, and she said, wow, Tazuna-san, do you really have a daughter, and do you have grandchildren? She seemed to have forgotten about his previous insult to Yelba. Sasuke sighed, was also a little curious, but his fake cold personality and pride. They held him. But I have a little grandson. It's a pity that when his father died, he seemed to have lost hope for the world of ***, said Tazuna with sadness in his voice and sighed at the end. Sakura looked sad because of what happened to the boy. The loss of his father must have taken a toll on him. Then she looked at Sasuke and Naruto. Both of them are orphans. One lost his entire family, while the other never had one. But soon her expression quickly cleared up. At this time, Naruto suddenly threw the kunai towards the bush, and it hit something. And when they looked closely, it was a white furry animal. It looked very cute, but unfortunately it was killed. This angered Sakura. Naruto, do you see what you've done? You killed an innocent animal only because he was too suspicious. Naruto ignored her and looked at Kakashi and Sasuke. Both of them nodded. The only person who couldn't understand that the white rabbit was extremely strange here, since they usually lived in cold places, was Sakura. After walking a little further, they saw a pool of water. Once again, he looked at Sasuke and Kakashi, who had a serious expression on their faces. Passing by the water pool, they behaved as if they hadn't noticed anything. Soon, two figures emerged from the water, and two chains were launched into Kakashi, and then he was torn into exactly two parts. Naruto and Sasuke knew that he was using a body replacement technique and wanted them to solve the problem themselves. Naruto and Sasuke ran zigzag to confuse the enemies. Naruto ran to one of the ninjas, and suddenly, his figure seemed to have disappeared from the spot. The ninja looked around and said, damn, where's that little bastard? Unfortunately for him, the answer came in the form of a blow when the yellow-haired boy appeared in front of him. And when the fist connected with his head, there was a crack, killing him on the spot. Naruto thought to himself, damn, I used too much power. I hope Kakashi-sensei won't blame me for accidentally killing this guy. It was at this time that Kakashi appeared next to Naruto and said, Naruto, it seems you killed this man. It would be nice to capture him and send him to Kanahi prison to be interrogated, ***. At least there's still another guy left. They're known as the Demon Brothers. Just to think, you were able to kill him with a simple blow is an impression. Sasuke finally knocked out his opponent, and when he looked at Naruto, and then at the other ninja who was dead, shock appeared on his face, from the realization that the yellow-haired boy was actually stronger than him. He had never killed anyone before, but Naruto killed a man without even blinking. Naruto, just wait, I will surpass you. It's impossible for a loser like you to be stronger than me in the future. Naruto didn't know it yet, but he had just ignited a fire of determination in Sasuke's heart. Suddenly, they heard someone laugh and say, ha ha ha, to think that the so-called Demon Brothers were defeated by these two brats. You have a great team, Kakashi Hatake, or should I say, a copy ninja. Kakashi also drew attention to the figure of the man who said this. He saw a man with short black hair. Looking at them, however, what shocked him was that the man's eyes were white. He had a Bikugan. Because of this, he immediately recognized this man. "You, the all-seeing ninja, Kiken," he said in surprise, but inside he began to panic a little, as he felt a huge amount of hatred behind him. Looking back, he saw Naruto, and the red chakra covered his entire body. There were 2 sharpened mines above his head, and 4 tails behind him, made of red chakra. His eyes were completely red, and his pupils turned into 2 slits. Like the pupils of a snake's eye, his nails lengthened, and his fangs. They seemed very, very dangerous. Vika made him recall a very bad memory that happened in the future. Rage had almost robbed him of rationality, but not completely. It was then that something occurred to him that made even him scared. Naruto said that he likes Hinata. She's from the Hyuga clan, and this guy ripped out their eyes and transplanted them to himself. Holy shit, I never thought anyone could screw up like that, even though I had a sparring match with him, and I won. It was a week ago. A week later his body probably improved from the cover. Damn, this guy is finished, Kakashi thought to himself. He then retreated, and also told Sakura, Sasuke and Tazuna to retreat as well. The next thing they heard was an angry voice that seemed to be possessed by the devil himself. "You're going to die," said Naruto full anger, but now he was cold as ice when he stopped holding back his emotions. Note, his behavior will be explained in later chapters. Believe me, there is a good reason. In addition, this will not happen again, as Naruto quickly adapts to situations. Who the hell are you, a brat? Anyway, don't think you can. Kika couldn't finish the sentence, as he was hit in the stomach, which caused him to be slammed into trees. "Oh, you brat, how dare you do that? Heh, you're just lucky that you caught me off guard. It won't happen again. Water technique." "Liquid bullets," he shouted, and small water bullets began to condense and shot towards Naruto, which, of course, would not allow him to get to him. Naruto said in a low voice, "Fire technique, flaming wall." When he said that, a wall of flames appeared from the ground, and after the liquid bullets hit it, steam appeared, blocking Naruto's vision. Unfortunately, his enemy could still see with the Bikugan, and took the opportunity to attack. Kika shouted, "Haha, die, you little demon." Although Naruto really could see perfectly in the fog by activating Sharingan, but he forgot to activate it. Unfortunately, it was too late, because he felt a fist hit him right in the face. A bastard, to think just because of a mistake that I almost never make. I got hit by this dude, he thought to himself. Frustrated that he made a mistake, Naruto activated his Sharingan. This time it was different. He had 2 Temari, his taijutsu and ninjutsu were improved quite significantly. In addition to teleportation, he had almost all the abilities of Sharingan, except for the ability to copy and genjutsu. However, he can teleport and improve both taijutsu and the user's ninjutsu, and also has the ability to see the chakra as a Bikugan. The creation of all things, Naruto changed the kunai in his backpack to exactly the same special kunai as his father. Taking this kunai, there were strange marks on it, but Naruto was very familiar with them. A grin appeared on his face. Without waiting for an answer, he looked at Kyuka, who was still looking at him with apprehension. And when Naruto looked into the man's eyes, shock appeared on the enemy's face, since he had never seen such a dojutsu in his entire life. But soon he pulled himself together. Naruto then threw the kunai towards Kyuka, who didn't even try to block it, but simply dodged it by stepping to the side. At this time, Naruto had an evil grin on his face, exposing his sharp fangs. Flying Raijin technique, and suddenly Naruto disappeared from his seat. Although the man did have a Buchanan, after the transplant, he had a viewing angle of only 180 degrees, not 360 degrees. Unfortunately, the next thing he felt was very sharp pain in both hands. Looking at them, his eyes widened with shock and fear. Kyok's hands were cut off, and right after that he saw a yellow-haired brat with a harmless smile in front of him. And then the boy pushed him to the ground and stepped on him, not letting him move. "Demon, don't come near me, demon!" he screamed in fear. Naruto made a sad expression on his face, and the red pall covering him disappeared. "Oh, I'm so sad that you called me a demon, but you're out of luck. I'm much worse." Demons? The last thing Kyoka saw were the brat's hands slowly approaching his eyes and picking them out. The sharp pain was all he felt, while Naruto was ripping out the eyes of the enemy. Kakashi, Sasuke, and Sakura were very curious because they could hear the sounds of fighting, but the fog did not disappear, but disappeared. Only after they heard a sharp scream. Kakashi only thought of one thing after hearing that. Poor guy, you could have stolen the eyes of another clan, and Naruto probably wouldn't have killed you. But you were stupid to steal the eyes of a member of the Hyuga clan, a very unfortunate decision. Naruto, of course, controlled the fog with a special technique. He didn't want to reveal his dojutsu, not yet. Anyway, right now he was walking towards his shinsei and teammates, smiling. "Oh, Kakashi Shinsei, I accidentally killed an enemy ninja again. How careless of me." "Haha, sorry, Dadabaya." Kakashi sighed and simply said, "No problem. Naruto, I'd kill him too if I were you. In any case, let's continue with our mission. We've already lost a lot of time." After that, they returned to the mission, and soon they boarded a boat and started crossing the river. Sasuke couldn't take it anymore, and Tazumi said coldly, "Tazuna, how can this be a C-rank mission when we were attacked by 2 Chunins and 1 Junin? Tell our team the truth now," he said. Tazuna was sweating, but replied, "Have any of you heard of Gaara?" asked Tazuna. "Gaara is a very rich man." "What's the problem?" Kakashi asked. "You see, the land of waves was harmonious. Until he started doing his business here, the land was getting poorer. Over time, our only hope of avoiding this was to create a bridge that would connect us with the outside world. Since I am the bridge designer, his priority is to kill me and destroy the last hope of people asterisk. Sigh, asterisk, it's okay if you come back and leave me here to die. I can already imagine the sad face of my daughter and crying grandson. He has already lost his father, and now it will be his grandfather asterisk, sigh, asterisk." He said it all in one breath and sighed twice. Naruto had to admit that this guy knew how to make people feel guilty. Even he, who had already heard it from him, felt guilty once in the future. Kakashi also sighed and said, "Okay, we will continue to carry out this mission. After its completion, we will inform Mr. Hackage about this." What everyone but Naruto couldn't notice was that Tazuna's lips. They were slightly raised in a victorious smile. However, seeing that the yellow-haired boy noticed it, she instantly disappeared. "Phew, is your homeland really that far away, Tazuna-san?" Sakura asked, who looked very bored. "No, look, we've already reached the ground, right? Now we can get out of the boat. Let's go, guys," Tazuna told the 4 of them. Naruto had to admit that this guy is already an old man, so saying that Kakashi is also a child is actually not so wrong. They were surrounded by trees, and it was actually a very beautiful landscape. But soon everyone's attention switched from the beautiful landscape to Naruto, who felt someone's presence, and, taking the kunai, he threw it to the top of the tree. The sound of steel collision was heard by everyone. Kakashi looked a little surprised that Naruto was actually able to sense someone else's presence. Soon they heard a female and a male voice. "Ha ha ha, who did we meet here? This is a copy ninja Kakashi Hatake. Looking at the man and the woman, Kakashi immediately exclaimed, "It's Zabuza mummy and Kabuza mummy. What a surprise to see you both here. Haha, I think I need to get serious. Sasuke, Sakura, protect the pelvis." Then he made some Naruto signs, meaning he could take the caboose and took off the blindfold from his left eye, revealing 3 Tomoya Sharingan. Naruto sensed that someone was sneaking up to Tezuna and immediately teleported to the mark he left at the old man, giving a kick towards the person who was sneaking and sending him away. It's back a few meters, phew, to think that a brat like you could feel me is impressive. It was a caboose. Wasting no time, Naruto didn't even use hand seals, as the red chakra began to cover his body. His eye color changed to red when his pupils became animal slits. 4 tails and 2 pointed ears made of red chakra appeared, and his nails and fangs became sharper. Naruto disappeared from his seat with a whoosh. In front of Kabuza, who was using her huge metal sword with great speed to parry the attack, she shouted in a low voice, "Water technique, water dragon." The water surrounding them quickly gathered in one place and formed a huge dragon. Naruto, of course, wouldn't let this jutsu hurt him. While he was thinking about it in his mind, he was making seals with his hands. The wind technique is a great breakthrough. The huge water dragon that was flying towards him was sent back scattering into the ground. Kabuza didn't react in time, as she was already doing the hand seals again, while her seal was half completed. Naruto had already finished his own seal. Wind technique, wind cutter. Several powerful gusts of wind rushed to the caboose, which was still making seals with its hands. She got a lot of cuts on her arms and legs, which interrupted her jutsu and made her unable to move, not caring if Haku would come on time or not. Naruto appeared next to her, and using his sharp nails, he tried to cut her throat, but instead he got a kunai in the heart. The caboose roared with a victorious smile. "Haha, little demon, you still need many years of training before you can defeat me." But her smile disappeared as soon as the boy she stabbed started dripping water on her, not blood. Water, but where did this brat get the water clone technique from? It was a question she would never be able to get an answer to. Naruto imperceptibly stood behind her and said, "This will be our little secret, hehe." That was the last thing Kabuza heard. She felt something pierce her neck, and once again she roared, but this time with despair. No one was paying attention to their battle except Sasuke, who watched how strong Naruto was. As the disappointment in his heart grew more and more, his eyes began to warm up as his previously pitch-black eyes began to change to red. And there was now 1 volume inside them. After Kabuza screamed before dying, they stopped fighting and looked in their direction. Zabuza was furious. Although he never expressed feelings for his sister, he always took great care of her when she didn't notice it. Seeing her die almost made him completely insane. But at that time, a teenager with an Anbu mask appeared and threw a needle that pierced Zabuza's neck, causing him to lose consciousness. The masked teenager said, "I have to thank you all. If you hadn't distracted him, it wouldn't have been so easy to kill Zabuza mama. There are too many secrets, so I'm taking it with me now." After these words, he disappeared in a gust of wind. Kakashi felt something strange, but shook his head. Fortunately, his chakra was not depleted. Otherwise, he would have been in bed for several days. Sakura asked him, "Kakashi-sensei, who is this boy? He obviously looks like our age, but he's so strong." He looked at her and replied, "Sakura, there are many people in the world who, despite being younger than you, can kill you in the blink of an eye. The environment in which they grow up greatly affects their strength, because in peacetime it's normal for someone your age to be weaker than in wartime." If I'm not mistaken, this boy is a member of the Kirigakuri Anbu. Now let's go, we need to get to Tazen's house quickly. After that, there were no more attempts, so they quickly arrived at Tazen's house. When they entered the house, they heard a child's voice. "Grandpa, are you back? And who are these people?" The kid asked. "Ho, Inari is Kakashi, Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. Kakashi is Junin Kanahi, and the rest are Genins. They were appointed as my bodyguards." Tazuna replied to Inari with a big smile. What's the point of being a ninja if they're going to die from Zagat soon? Inari spoke with disdain, but in the depths of his eyes, one could see that he was actually sad. Sakura, of course, was outraged by Inari's comment, but she didn't say anything, because on the way to her house, Tazuna told several stories about the land of the waves of the macaw. "Father, you're already back. You also brought guests. Okay, sit here, I'll cook dinner." "Okay," the young woman said. She was Tazuna's daughter. With Anami, Naruto thought that if it wasn't for Inari, then their whole family's name would start with the letter T. Dinner was soon brought, and Sasuke seemed to want to compete in food, but Naruto refused. He just ate, and then he said it was full. Uchiha had a victorious smile. After finishing dinner, Naruto went to Inari's room. When he entered it, he saw that the boy was crying. Although he was not good at it, he tried to calm the boy down. "And Nari, that's right, you behaved like a strong boy, but now you're acting like a crybaby. Tell me, this is your true nature." And Nari, of course, was angry about it. "Shut up, I'm not a crybaby." Having said that, he ran towards Naruto and tried to hit him, however both of his fists were caught. Naruto looked at him. "Do you know why even after I bullied you, you can't even hit me?" "Because you are weak, and I am strong. You want to protect your homeland. Then all you have to do is become strong." Naruto left the room, leaving Inari completely shaken, and pondering his words that Naruto had told him. A fire of determination ignited in his heart. Kakashi called them into the forest, and after they arrived, the gray-haired sensei said, "I was thinking about the boy who suddenly saved Zabuza. I suspect that the boy actually worked together with Zabuzu. If it was really Anbu, they would have killed him on the spot. In any case, we probably have a week or a little more time to train and get stronger. There is a quick way to become stronger, namely, to increase control over your chakra." He paused and continued, "Sakura, could you explain that? What is a chakra?" Then Sakura started to explain, but Naruto was thinking of his own. If he, someone with perfect chakra control, doesn't even know what a chakra is, then he should just dig a hole and hide in it. So Naruto decided to think about his own while she answered the question. Kakashi-sensei's question. That was the day Boruto called Himawari loli. He entered their house saying, "Dad, I found out that Himawari is not a child, she is actually a loli." On this day, Boruto was hit in the head. "Don't call your sister loli, watch your tongue." On this day, Naruto was ridiculed by Boruto, Himawari, and Hinata, who considered him a person who does not understand technology. After that day, he used shadow clones to get information about everything related to the internet. It's games. His thoughts were interrupted when Kakashi said to train your chakra control, at least in the beginning. You will need to reach the top of this tree. Every time you fall, be sure to leave a mark at the last position you reach. And now, Naruto, come with me. Both Sasuke and Sakura looked surprised by this decision, but remembering the power that Naruto demonstrated against Kabuza, they focused on their training. Both Naruto and Kakashi entered the water, walking on it. Before they stopped, and the silver-haired sensei said, "Naruto, you have jutsu, but you don't have ninjutsu for a close faith battle. I decided to teach you one of my ninjutsu. It's called Rasengan, and it's a very powerful technique." So the week passed quickly. Naruto, of course, already knew how to create Rasengan, but if he used it without training Kakashi, they would be scared. And the excuse that he created this jutsu himself would not work. Therefore, a week later, Naruto said that he had learned how to create a Rasengan. In less than 4 days, both Sasuke and Sakura learned to walk on wood. The girl with the big forehead managed first, and then helped her beloved in this. A few days have passed, and, according to his calculations, Naruto knew that the attack for Buzi and Haku would be tomorrow, so she would not be. He went to bed early. The night passed quickly, and soon morning came. Naruto woke up because someone was slowing him down. Looking back at the one who disturbed him, it turned out to be a kid. And Nari, Naruto's older brother, there's someone fighting on the bridge. My mom is missing, please help her. He looked very upset, so Naruto quickly put on a bright smile on his face and said, "Of course. Just watch Big Brother defeat the bad guys." This seemed to light up Inari's expression right away. Last week, they became very close, and Inari began to treat Naruto as his older brother. And the latter treated Inara as a younger brother. It's time to kick ass, Naruto thought, before running in the direction where he felt 2 ninjas and a common man next to him.